Hello, everyone. Welcome to GNU according to CD, that is Government of National Unity. So, thank you so very much, Japo 3713. That is your handle. You sent me a link on YouTube regarding why the Nigerians were busy cleaning the streets of Campton Park and Pretoria. Yeah, like I said, I think this is a manipulation of some sort, and time was going to tell, and I think time is telling. But again, this is not surprising. But before I get into the story, I just want to demonstrate something to people about overlays. Basically, an overlay is a video that I silenced and then I play while I talk and it plays in the background. Some people, I think they're having a misunderstanding of that. So I'm not going to put an overlay. You're going to see a black blank screen, and but you're going to hear me. So that you understand that next time when I put an overlay, it's not that I am talking about the video that is playing as an overlay, but I'm talking about maybe an inserted video. You will hear me stop talking and then that video will play. And then once it's done, then you're going to hear me talk and then there'll be an overlay. But the overlay will always be something related to what I'm talking about. It must be something else from somewhere else, but I will use that overlay as so that you don't see this black blank screen and only hear my voice. So this time around I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna put an overlay so you understand what I mean by an overlay and an insert. Anyways, and there is a video that is inserted towards the end of what I'm going to say, which is now drawing a sensibility as to why Nigerians are cleaning the streets of Canton Park and Pretoria, probably even Hillbrook, Berea, Yeovil, and everywhere else. Because, come on, guys, we've said this before while they were busy attacking South Africans, and we kept saying to Nigerians, guys, your country is falling apart. The economy is almost non-existent. It keeps regressing, and your president seems to not to care. And so many Nigerians who are smart enough foresee the problem that is coming. And right now, England is also anticipating a large number of Nigerians as genuine refugees from Nigeria into England. But I'd say it's not just going to be England that is going to share these so-called refugees and asylum seekers, but South Africa as well, because they seemingly love South Africa. And the reason why they will also want to come to South Africa, because amongst the countries that Nigerians run away to, South Africa is the cheapest. If you go to England, that is one of the most expensive countries to live in the world. And secondly, the taxes that they charge on your salary are ridiculous amounts that make people to cry and feel like they are being enslaved for something that they worked so hard and they deserve the earnings. While in South Africa, we have loose laws. By the way, our laws are so loose, including our constitution, and that is why some of them thrive in selling white powder, because you have corrupt government officials at Home Affairs, the police, you name them. Our border management also corrupt. So they will always look for where there is a greater opportunity for them to make a good living. Yeah, the one they say, oh, Nigerians in South Africa are doing well and South Africans are jealous. Yes, they are doing well because they are committing crimes and they are working with the police, and the police are taking bribes from them. And that is why in our crime stats, you are not going to hear a Nigerian as part of the nationalities that are committing crimes in South Africa, but crimes are being committed by Nigerians. They kidnap children, whether you like that or you don't. They kidnap children, turn them into prostitutes, kidnap children, and turn them into druggies and all of that stuff. It's happening, and the police know this. It's not like they don't. But because they pay bribes not to go to jail, that is why they thrive. And another thing, it's true what these ladies, as you're going to hear in this video, that if England at some point, and I'm going to give England exactly 10 to 15 years before this happens, a originally born Nigerian is going to end up to be the prime minister of the UK. You watch and see. Because themselves, they got soft borders and they sympathize and empathize with the Nigerians a lot. And so there will come a time where a Nigerian feels like, I've been in England for so many years. I'm now a citizen and I do possess the rights and privileges to run for office, including the prime minister. Already the prime minister of England, or is it the mayor of London, was a Pakistani born or something like that. So now, why not a Nigerian? And if South Africa as well is not careful, our culture is going to be eroded at some point. How is it going to be eroded? As long as South African women continue to have babies with them, those babies do possess the right and privileges also to run for office someday. But those babies are not going to be raised as South African citizens. They are going to be raised as per their fatherland culture, language, customs, values, and all of that. And some of these customs and values include corruption. Have a corrupted mind. I mean, let's look at the case of that girl. I mean, clearly, as a person who grew up in South Africa and supposedly understands the culture of South Africa, she still allowed corruption to make her reign as the queen in her fatherland type of situation. Instead of saying, hang on a minute, but this is not right. And on top of that, you are studying LLB. You're supposed to say, hang on a minute, but this is not right. No, I withdraw. No, she goes into it. That's exactly the point I'm also raising here. And if at some point a Nigerian who fled Nigeria as a refugee or asylum seeker and then adhere to the new immigration rules that are being halted right now, and then they apply to be South African citizens at some point according to the immigration laws, they will also run for president. A naturally born Nigerian runs for office in South Africa. And because he is going to get, or she is going to get the support. Why? Because there'll be other Nigerians who will make a bulk of the percentage that they may need to actually win the elections, which is 50+1. So that's the danger we are also facing. And I'm giving South Africa 20 years for that. Anyways, here is this, I don't know, it's an interview between, I don't know, you just see it. See and listen carefully as to what exactly is about to happen in Nigeria. And now it makes sense why these Nigerians are cleaning our streets, because they know that South Africa may become their permanent home. And in order for South Africans not to have a gripe with them, they need to keep things clean. I don't know about illegal businesses that they're running, but we are seemingly crying about the filth that they've caused. And so now to reduce our anger and us calling them to leave is to clean our streets, which is not enough. But these people, they've been disrespectful. They have killed the future of this country by kidnapping young children and doing the things that they've done to them. So no, abahambe. Let them go to England. Not South Africa. South Africa it should not be a thought in their heads when the economy of Nigeria does collapse, because that's where it's headed to. It's going to abyss. As long as Tinubu is still the president of the Republic, or is it the Federal of Nigeria, Federation, or I don't know what it's called. As long as Tinubu is still the president, it's going down. And by the time he's done with his term, Nigeria will be non-existent economically. So it's sad, but we also must anticipate an influx of Nigerian refugees and asylum seekers. And this time around, they are going to be genuine. Genuine. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know what you think, South Africans. What do you think we should do with our laws? Because I think we need to make them even stricter. Make it unattractive to come to South Africa as an alternative. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Thank you so much, Jopa3713 or at Jopa3713 for linking this video in my comment section. I highly appreciate that. Yeah, these are the conversations we should be having, fellow South Africans. See you later.
Hi, thanks for that introduction. And you're so right about the interconnectedness of everything. I mean, we spend so much time on talk, focusing on the issues that are number one of importance to the UK. And, I personally spend a huge amount of time, frankly, ranting about illegal immigration and, the mass movement of people and the loss of control of our borders. And often people who disagree with where I stand on immigration will point to what's going on in the rest of the world as a driving force for the displacement of people. And it's increasingly obvious that Nigeria is on the brink of becoming, well, first of all, it's on the brink of economic meltdown, there is social meltdown. We can go into a long list of the problems that it's facing. That has real potential repercussions for us here in the UK. First of all, we should care about Nigeria because of our historic links to the country. It's a Commonwealth country. There are very, very large numbers of Nigerians now living in the UK, nearly 300,000, so big diaspora. And what is happening there today, the utter mess that country is in, has big implications, because I think we're likely to see an increasing number of Nigerians making their way as genuine refugees, not as economic opportunists, real refugees, to the UK, where they know that there are, they've got shared language, they will be welcomed. And of course, that has implications for our own ability to absorb yet more people.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is worth pointing out as well, that when you look at Africa and when you look at the economic powerhouses, Nigeria is one of them. It dominates the economies of West Africa. It is a huge oil-producing nation as well. And like you said about our diaspora, when you look at the leadership contest in the Conservative Party taking place right now, there's a very good chance that actually the next leader of the Conservative Party will be a Nigerian by birth. And this is a very important country. I've worked in Nigeria myself. I love Nigeria, actually. It has its problems for sure. And actually, those of us old enough to remember the Biafran War will know that when things go very wrong in Nigeria, they can go extremely wrong indeed. Nigeria, like most other African countries, has oftentimes been blighted by inter-ethnic wars and people who want to seek separatism and so on and so forth. But the situation had calmed down. There'd always been an agreement in Nigeria that leadership was shared between a southerner with a deputy from the north, and then that reversed. And that is the way that Nigeria has managed to keep a hold on its functionality for a long time. But that model over the course of the last sort of decade or so has rather been eroded. But tell us what's going on today over there, Isabel.
Well, what's going on is it's only fairly recently that Nigeria had presidential elections. So the incumbent, Bola Tinubu, has only been in position since 2023. And unfortunately, having come to office on a platform of, usual story, yes, I'm going to absolutely root out corruption, I'm going to improve the economy, I'm going to make everyday life easier for Nigerians, has presided over making things quite demonstrably worse. It's been an absolute disaster with rocketing inflation. I mean, we think we've had a nightmare with inflation in our country. Currently, inflation in Nigeria is running at about 32.5%. Food inflation even higher, right up 37, 38%. That has actually left a lot of Nigerians quite literally starving. When did you last hear about famine in Nigeria? Well, it's a real thing. Then there's a whole mess over Nigeria's fuel subsidy. You talked earlier about Nigeria being very rich in resources, and here's the irony. It has all this oil and gas, and unfortunately still doesn't seem to be able to provide it at an affordable rate for its own citizens. And the president removed the fuel subsidy, but didn't put any safety net in. And, the fuel subsidy is extremely controversial, and there are many arguments for and against having it. But what you don't do is rip it away and then leave people without anything to turn to. So now you've got people who are unable to afford to heat and light their homes. And among all of this, as a backdrop, you've got rampant corruption. I mean, if you ask people in this country, what do you associate Nigeria with? Unfortunately, the answer you're likely to get is still going to be corruption. Well, that has just gone on steroids under this current administration. And also the persecution of journalists. And that is very, very sinister. That's ramped up under this administration. So poor Nigerian citizens, they thought they've got a new regime, that things will get better. And in fact, here they are, with a president who seems entrenched. And the question is there any possibility of getting rid of him? He's supposedly at the moment on a working vacation in London. That is sitting very badly with voters in Nigeria who feel, well, hang on a minute, your country's in flames and you've pootled off to the UK. We're not quite sure what you mean by a working vacation, but now, my friend, is no time to be on a holiday. So I think the sands are shifting. It's unclear when or if or how he might be displaced, kicked out, made to step down in some way. But there's an awful lot of people hoping for change.
Blimey, it's dreadful to hear that is a situation that Nigeria is in.